Hello everyone to the 2023 American Speed Festival. We saw the Goodwood Festival of Speed, so let's return across the pond to the first event that I went to of this nature. This year was NASCAR themed. Richard Petty was the star. It was absolutely incredible, and I wasn't there. Had a wedding to go to, out of state. Wanted to kill myself, but anyway. Irregardless of that slightly disappointing thing, this was going to be the last show of the year. Specifically the Cars and Coffee event that we would go and see. These pictures are from a friend of mine, so very big thanks of him who managed to snag a few pictures so I could see what I was missing and cry in the corner. But anyway, what was I saying? Yes, the last car show of the year. This is the Mopar branded one, but let's not get bogged down in specific brands because we're going to start out very far away from that in Germany with the Audi 5000 S Avant. Not a very good looking vehicle, one of the first Avants that Audi made, and therefore it is incredibly significant. And I'm always a sucker for weird estates or weird crazy V8 powered Volkswagen Beetles. Herbie definitely got a lot faster. I'm pretty sure that's even faster than when he turned into a NASCAR. Very impressive. And BMW had a very impressive performance as well. The 2002 Tii actually faster than the 2002 Turbo, just not as cool. And not even as cool as this 525i Estate touring wagon. It looks absolutely clean. It's phenomenal looking. And then there's the E28 M5, one of the first super sedans, still one of the greatest super sedans of all time. It's an incredible sleeper. You don't know what you're looking at until you see it, but once you do see it, oh boy, does it settle in how great it is. Now this is interesting. This is a Tribute Automotive Z3 GT. It's based off of BMW Z3, but as you can see, it's a small boutique manufacturer from the UK, and it definitely looks like it. Very good looking car, significantly improved the styling of the Z3 in my opinion. But we're going to move away from the executive brands and go on to Porsche. They had the GT3 RS 3.8, the last RS to use a 3.8 liter engine instead of a 4.0, and a lovely rally raid style Trans-Siberia homage Cayenne S. Very nice. But it wasn't the only rally raid vehicle. This was as I was passing by to get ice cream. It's completely unrelated to the car show, but a rally raid with the bull bar and the wide body kit and everything, and the adorable little fog lights on the Smart 4 too. Wild. Absolutely amazing. Probably one of my favorite cars I've ever seen, including this Dallara, which is a phenomenal track ready special, now with the windshield if you want it. I actually kind of like the look of it with a windshield, I'm not going to lie. I think it looks better with it than without it. It sort of fills in a gap. But either way, the Italians are always incredibly good looking, and Ferrari shows that the 550. It may be black, which hides some of the features, but the Maranello is still a gorgeous Grand Touring car. The Ferrari F355, severely underappreciated. I really quite like how it looks. It's very much a car of the 90s, and I think it's aged incredibly well. The Lamborghini Jalapa has not. It's a choice, we'll put it that way, but it's interesting, and I like seeing interesting vehicles. If you want to go more cliche, the incredibly aggressive Huracan STO and the prototype paint job is definitely more in that bill, and then we have the V12s. Every single V12 Lambo was here except for the Mira. We had the Countach 5000 QV here, we had the Diablo, the first generation. Here, you can actually see the next car coming up on the left, which is the Murcielago. I mean, you can track the entire history of the V12 all the way up to the newest car. There is technically an Aventador in the bottom left, but I didn't want to take a picture of that because I've seen an Aventador 1,000 times. But a Revuelto, Revueltos are very good. But why get a gray one? Because Lamborghinis are all about showing off, right? So you put the scissor doors up, and you paint it bright blue. Because it's all about showing off, and that is, a very showy vehicle, especially with 1,000 horsepower on tap. And yet the most beautiful Italian supercar was made many, many years ago, the Ghia 450 SS, powered by a Plymouth V8, but Italian styling. It is stunning. That's only the word I can put for it, stunning. But let's move on to the British. We got the Morgan Plus 4 here, which is sort of ancient history, but also very modern. Speaking of very, very modern, my first ever sighting, apparently, I didn't realize this until I cataloged these pictures, of an Aston Martin DBS Superleggera. So there you go. You see something new every day, even if it really doesn't feel like you've never seen one before. And then we have Lotus. Now, there's been many Lotus Exieges over the years I've seen, but this one I quite like. It's properly stripped out, with the wing, with the British Racing Green, really embodying Colin Chapman's, almost like Colin McRae's, Colin Chapman's philosophy of simplify, then add lightness. But it doesn't get much simpler than these. Ariel Atom 3Rs. Yeah, it's basically just a chassis with some wings and a Honda engine in the back. And then there's the Commer Cobb. You can tell it's British because that is the weirdest alliteration I've ever heard, and it's basically an Austin. So, there you go. Hillman turned into a 3-door station wagon, and I always like seeing cars never seen, and that is definitely on the weirdness scale, but we haven't even hit the top yet, don't you worry, because it's time for the Americans, and we've got some great performances from AMC. We had the Javelin AMX, we have the Spirit 360, which is a hatchback with a big old 360 cubic inch V8 up front. I don't know why that died off, it's a shame. Then we've got a gloriously classic, Bonnie and Clyde looking Hudson. I mean, just a really great variety of attendants. That's why I like the Mopar one so much, because you get so many unique vehicles, shall we say, and it's not even exclusively Mopar. I mean, the Ford Lightning definitely isn't a Mopar. Any of the GM products definitely aren't Mopars, but this Pontiac GTO just looks like an anti-hero's car, all blacked out, super aggressive. Huge fan of it. This is the closest I actually got to the American Speed Festival. This is a Pontiac Grand Prix NASCAR in the spirit of Cole Trickles from Days of Thunder. Really cool, nice to see. Wish I got to see it race, but whatever. We also got some very rare Chrysler Spirit Laser RTs, what you want to call it. There's only one of 12 of those white ones. Super rare options package, and both of those were one of 12, so there's actually 2 out of 12 ever built in that line right there. Not very interesting cars, but very rare nonetheless. Now, I did find this interesting, the Plymouth Fury Police Interceptor. It even had the Motorola radio on the side, very old-fashioned. And it wasn't the only weird Plymouth. This was a chop-top sports Fury, which is actually pretty clean. And then this is the actual hero car from Furious 7 that Dominic Toretto drives for like 5 seconds and then he crashes it. Pretty neat seeing an actual Universal Studios car in attendance. Not only the replicas are fakes, but that is the real deal as seen with the certified plaque on the interior. Now this is one of 4 AAR Cudas with this specific options package. An incredible car. I love the All-American Racing Barracudas. A little bit faster and quite a bit more terrifying, but still an E-body. This Challenger had a Viper V10 in it. That must be one of the fastest E-bodies ever built, if you could put the power down, which based on those rims, I don't think you could. But hey, it's a Viper power Challenger, and the rest of it actually looks pretty clean as well. It's not just the engine, the whole build is pretty immaculate, I must say. But this certainly takes the cake for the crazy, shall we say, because, yes, those are indeed the rear tires in the back that you can see. I'm not making it up. Those are the rear tires behind the driver. Those aren't just rollers, those are like industrial-grade mining dump truck tires. It wouldn't even be useful for drag racing. If you want drag racing, go for the Dart LO23. There's only, 80 of them in the world? And they did sub-10 second quarter miles in the 1960s. So, big tires are not always good, but damn is it interesting. And speaking of dragsters, the Dodge Demon 180 is here. This is 1,000 horsepower, a super rare Dodge Challenger, the last of the last calls, the greatest, arguably the greatest Challenger ever made from the modern era, and it was replaced with this. Now, I have a hot take. I actually kind of like the electric Charger. Certainly a lot more than other people. Is it a muscle car? No, but it is the future, and it's an interesting take on it, and I actually quite like the design of it. It won't beat whatever the hell this Rally Raid bedliner covered Charger is, but for an inevitable step into the future, I think it is a step in the right direction. Now let's move on to the final section, vehicles with nationalities that didn't have enough vehicles in them for their own section. So we had from Sweden, the Saab 9-3 Viggen, and from Japan we had a few drift cars like this 240SX, or an absolutely mint right-hand drive Nissan Skyline GTR R34 V-Spec. This is an incredible build. One of the best and cleanest I have ever seen. Everything on it is perfection, from the black Nismo wheels to the incredibly detailed and clean and pristine engine bay. It's everything you want in a GTR. I love it. And I also like the quirky French with the Alpine A610 Le Mans. It's not the turbocharged PRV monster that took on the 911, but I like seeing weird cars, and the only thing that gets weirder than an Alpine is a Trabant from the Soviet Union. The 601. It's from East Germany, I believe. It's terrible. It has 27 horsepower to 0 to 60 in over half a minute. And I love it, because it's an old Soviet Union Eastern Bloc car that you don't get to see very often. Now, if I can be perfectly honest, apart from Goodwood, and that is a very big apart from, not a lot of things went right this year. Woodward got rained out, missed the Dream Show, missed the Speed Festival, Concourse went bankrupt. I mean, it was not a good year overall for shows, and yet the cars definitely were quality over quantity, whether it's the first ever production McLaren, or the one of 3 Pontiac Trojans, or the entire Goodwood Festival of Speed being the greatest automotive event of all time, and filling off almost every bucket list item I've ever wanted to see. So I'm told I'm a bit disappointed this year, not being able to go into so many shows, but there was a 911 with a tent on the roof, and that's something I never thought I would be able to say, so here's hoping to a better next year, and some truly incredible cars, even if I know that they'll never reach the heights of Goodwood. I'm still looking forward to it, nonetheless.